Here at mid-innings on Crickbuzz Live, there's something about the Chennai Super Kings. Throughout their history we've seen there's always been an individual who stands up and says, I do. The only difference today, the individual stood up and said, Raidu. And how brilliantly he did it. In the studio, Joy Bhattacharya, Zahir Khan. Man for all seasons, isn't he? No matter where he bats in the order, which team he plays for, who he's playing for, ask him to do a job, he'll do it. Happily.
No, absolutely. And even this year, I think he's batted at, he's batted at 3, he's now batting at 4. Yeah. He's batted all over the place. And as you said, for every team, he's delivered for Bombay in so many, Mumbai in so many situations, and at places which are, I mean, he chased down 21 against Calcutta in a final over, I remember, in 2011. He's always done it, and he's never got his due. He's always been the sort of second big player in the team, never the first.
Zahid, this is exactly what I was going to ask you. I mean, when someone like Raidu walks out to bat, you know, you look at a Shane Watson who can muscle you in there, he's in your face. Sam Billings has got that reputation, so does Dhoni, Raina. But when Raidu walks out to bat, you're not expecting something to come, are you?
You're right about it. I think, you know, the strength of the batsman is basically, you know, he can play fast bowlers also and spin also very well. So that's his strength. I think, but as a bowler, you never find him threatening. You know that he's going to try things. Like, you know, he's got his game sorted. So for fast bowlers, usually, you know, he looks to go deep in the crease and then plays over square leg or in the fine leg direction usually, or he steps out. But I think, you know, this inning, what he's played has been one of his best innings by far. I think, you know, the way he controlled the game, and you don't expect Raidu hitting at over 200 runs strike rate. You know, you expect Raidu to bat at 120, 130, and that's okay. But today was a special inning because he just taken 37 deliveries to score that 79 runs, which you don't certainly expect from Raidu as a bowler. Like, you know, and you rightly said that, you know, he's not one of those batsmen who looks threatening when he walks to the crease. But I think today he's announced that, you know, for CSK he's going to play that vital role, and that absence of Kedar Jadhav he's filling that beautifully, because CSK needed someone to take that responsibility of playing the kind of role which probably Kedar Jadhav would have played. And I think now they need not worry about that sort of role. Once again, we are seeing that in this format, if two batters put up a partnership, you can go get to a respectable total. Last night we've seen it with Rishabh Pant and Shreyas Iyer, and today it was a classic case. They didn't look rushed, even though they were batting at a slow run rate. At no stage they gave the impression that, okay, they were not going to get to a good total. You know, they're always in control of the game. I think this is the strength of CSK. Like, you know, whether they're chasing or they're setting up target, they just work on that 11 to 13 over mark, and then they reassess the situation from there. They knew that Sunrisers Hyderabad has got a strong bowling lineup, so they were not rushed. They were waiting for the loose deliveries, which didn't come in the first half, but by 13th over, 90 runs on the board, they just shifted gear, and it worked for them today. Raidu put his hand up and put up that kind of a strike rate, and Raina also, he actually played a different kind of innings, I think, and it was very important for him and his confidence that he spent some time in the middle and gets the gauge of the situation for the tournament. I think, you know, going forward in the tournament for CSK, it was very important that Suresh Raina also has that kind of a time in the middle, and it was just perfect. I think, you know, 180 on in front of any other bowling attack, I think this would have been 200 plus. Because it's Sunrisers attack, I think it's a good total which they've achieved.
I just the thing I wanted to add to that is, big thing is that Raina has this great ability. He was looking really scratchy in the beginning,
striking at 65,
70. Yeah, exactly. He was looking really scratchy, and yet towards the end he got a half century at very respectable run rate, and that's an important thing. Look at it. I mean, 125, 130 is not a bad run rate, but the point of it was he was looking out of form. He was definitely, even when Raidu was batting or Dhoni was batting, he was always the standby batsman, the second batsman, and yet he's done well for them. That's one. Secondly, I think what Dhoni has done to this team is give them calm. Any other team reaches that total, you know, they've reached the stage when there's, you know, 55, 60 in the first 10 overs, they begin to panic, you know. This team, thanks to the way they're made up and the kind of composition, the mental strength they have, they don't panic. They say, okay, the loose ball will come. Let's just get in, let's play. And that really showed today. Amazing.
And I must, if I can allow myself a few moments to gloat, we always had that little prediction going. I had to bring it in here. We had 155, which for much of the innings was looking the most sensible, the most on-target prediction. Zahid, you were in 175, which was also looking good, but 180 plus. Honestly, even though I'm gloating, I never thought I was in the game at all. 27 in the power play, the lowest in the entire season so far, by any team. Forget just CSK. And of course, it was their lowest power play score. 54 in the first 10, so they got 128 in the last 10, 62 in the last 5. Forget predictions. Absolutely. That was out of the box.
Out of the box. Also, what happened was Raidu broke out. Raidu took 3, 4, 5 risks in that middle overs, that 11th to 13th, which could have come up, might not have come off. They all came off, and once he got going, see, if he had got out early, they might have been under a certain amount of pressure, but it just didn't happen. Everything worked for them and it worked well.
And look how much gas you still had in the tank just in case. Dwayne Bravo, Ravindra Jadeja, and of course a chap called Sam Billings. They didn't even go out.
Well, I think the key is to keep wickets in hand. I think and that's what CSK understands beautifully, and they kind of have these small targets and reassess the situation in terms of how the game is going. I think usually you see CSK attacking in the last 4 overs or 5 overs. Today they knew that they are falling behind the run rate. They started accelerating earlier. Like even if at that stage Raidu in the process gets out or Suresh Raina in the process gets out, they still have time to recover, and they still have the firepower. What you're talking about, Sam Billings, MS Dhoni coming in, you have Jadeja, Bravo is in good form. So I think that's why the timing is very important, and understanding what kind of a target is good on that particular track and what kind of game plan which you have. I think they had a clear-cut game plan, especially against Sunrisers Hyderabad, because Sunrisers Hyderabad's strength is their bowling. So they must have had 5 or 7 minute longer batting meeting where the batting unit gets together and decides, okay, what kind of approach you're going to have. They would have certainly said, wait for the loose balls. Even if you don't get runs, early phase of the game, wait for the loose balls, have wickets in hand.
But if you look at the other side's game plan, Sunrisers, home ground, even though at times with the yellow flags fluttering, it looked like there were lots of Chennai fans in there.
I'll have to ask you that you also ask yourself who owns the Sunrisers Hyderabad, and you'll arrive at the same city that one
Absolutely, you will, yes. So I had to bring that in somehow, somewhere. But, if you had to look at their game plan from the bowling point of view, they looked like they had it right for the first 6 overs, power play, even at the end of 10. Did they perhaps get a little complacent that we are in the right place right now and they were taken by surprise?
I just think the batsmen, they took the risks, it came off, they executed their plans beautifully. There's not much they could have done. They've tried everything they could. The truth of it is that they'll also tell themselves that if these guys can get to 180 on this pitch after this, it's doable for us, because it's a beauty. It's a batting pitch is a beauty. The kind of some of the shots that Raidu hit, some of the chances he took were for a pitch that the ball is coming on, it's looking good. So they'd fancy themselves, that's not a bad surface to bat on, and it's not 200, it's 180.
I think it was even game, because you look at the numbers. CSK's number this season, they've been scoring close to 200 runs. From that point of view, right now Sunrisers have restricted them to 180, 182, which is a good total against CSK. And they were controlling the game for the first half of the match of CSK innings. So that also shows that it's been an even contest between bat and ball. Now we'll have to wait and watch how CSK comes along with their bowling attack and how Sunrisers deals with it, because the wicket is looking good. I think this looking like a 190 200 sort of a wicket. Now it will be depending on how CSK puts and stacks up their overs.
Before we just analyze that, one quick thought on Rashid Khan. I mean, we talk about him being not only a wicket taker, but in the process of taking wickets, he ends up being economical. In 2 matches, he's gone for over 100. Cause for worry?
I think they're playing him in a particular way. I think the other thing is they're waiting for his googly. I mean, they now are playing that as a stock delivery, as as opposed to the ball coming straight or slightly deviating other way. So they're sitting back and waiting for him, and therefore they're much more prepared for it. So the kind of wickets he's getting, if you notice where he's getting whacked is this arc out here, because they're all sitting back and they're all slightly deeper in the crease. So look, there's a danger, but obviously they have done a lot of homework on players and it's not easy. I'm not saying that Rashid Khan will not have success later because he's a really fine bowler, but yeah, he is not maybe as potent a weapon as he was last year or just there. And this is exactly the greatness of the IPL. You reach a certain stage and then the technology or the batsman skill sort of catches up, and then you try another new weapon and it keeps going like that.
And two completely different kind of batsmen in consecutive matches. One giant from Jamaica comes, and one little unassuming gentleman called Ambati Rayudu comes and hits you in the next game. I mean, that's the contrast again.
Exactly, and he must be thinking, okay, Ambati Rayudu, Gale and Ambati, I like this guy. And then, Rayudu just takes him apart, yeah.
Okay, looking at now from Sunrisers' point of view, run chase.
See, my thing is, I'll be interested.
Remember, we talked about it at the start. Ricky Bhoi, Riddhiman Saha, will they throw them both in the deep end?
Yeah, I still don't think they will. I think they'll go with one experienced guy to open. This is my sense. I could be wrong. The second is, while they have a brittle batting, they have a long batting, it's a slightly brittle batting because there's, other than Kane and Mike, Manish there isn't somebody out there. My only plus point that they will have is they look at the bowling attack of CSK and saying, nobody here is threatening. There's nobody here who I look at and say, yeah, iska 4 over I'll play out. All of them can be hittable. It's not that they won't take wickets, so they're not great bowlers, but nobody is there. They don't have a Billy Stanley bowling at them in the first 4 and saying, okay, you're going to get some chin music. So that's a plus point. They'll look at it and they'll see that bowling attack and say, we'll fancy our chances. If Deepak Chahar gets me out, it's a fair game, but Deepak Chahar won't get me out because I'm scared of going out and facing him. That's my point. And
fair enough variety there. They've got spin, they've got Dwayne Bravo to come. Another number to throw at you. Since 2015, no team has chased down over 150 at this particular ground. And this is going to be a big run chase in that context.
It will be, I think, but this season Hyderabad wicket is looking like it has got a decent bounce, and the ball is coming onto the bat nicely. So and that's why you've seen a lot of sixes being hit. So if the sixes have been hit in the first innings, there is no reason why sixes can be hit in the second innings. And for Hyderabad, it's their home match. So they know the conditions better. Yes, they don't have the likes of Shikhar Dhawan right now to start the innings, and probably going in the match they will be thinking about that. CSK will be thinking that Sunrisers Hyderabad don't have the regular openers, but Saha is due. He is due a big innings because he's been in superb form. I think he just scored a brilliant 100 in domestic season as well.
Yeah, in almost no time. But let me give you a quick update. Riddhiman Saha has not come out to open, so they've thrown in Ricky Bhoi at the deep end with the skipper at the other end.
Okay,
there you go. So we've had the best of both worlds.
That's not a bad change.
That's not a bad change. So where do you see Saha now coming into bat? Floater?
They'll float him. They'll float him. If they get an early wicket, if Bhoi goes out early, they'll come in and say go and back up front. If Bhoi doesn't go out and it's Kane Williamson who comes out, expect Manish Pandey to walk out.
Result of the match, yellow or orange at this stage?
At this stage, I think CSK has got a better chance, only because I find these guys brittle. I don't think the batting orders, the experience, only Yusuf Pathan has the experience, but he's a finisher of a different kind. I don't think this is his kind of finishing. So I would go with CSK, though I don't like I'm personally not a huge fan of their bowling, but I'd go with CSK.
Are you walking into prediction territory now?
Well, I think Sunrisers Hyderabad has got the chance because they have the batting lineup. The batting lineup has not been firing as yet. The only time which I've seen Sunrisers batting a bit of question mark when the wicket is on the slow side. Today the wicket didn't look like that. So I think it's a good day for Sunrisers Hyderabad's batting to fire. I think if unless the MS factor comes into play and he rotates the bowler well, then you don't know. But I think all in all, looking at the wicket, looking at the conditions, 180 is a target achievable.
But I think before that, Zach was doing was exactly for mutual funds. Niche, he's got his subject to market risk, subject to MS risk. Read carefully.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yes.
Where are you going?
You have to, because yesterday's game was RCB. RCB didn't look like winning that game, but it was subject to AB.
Subject to always subject to. We're going to have that. Let's make this hashtag subject to ... We'll start that. We'll start that going. So I guess I have to be the neutral factor here. This house divided on Crickbuzz Live. It's yellow and orange. Now I have to say orange is my favorite color, but I'm not going orange. I'm going with Joy on this occasion. Something tells me that they're going to stutter in this run chase. It's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go for a 20-run win for the Chennai Super Kings. Let's see how things go. We'll come back with much more on Crickbuzz Live.